Hallelujah, freedom. Hallelujah, freedom. Hallelujah, freedom. Been down into the south. Well, good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to all of you from all the places that are listed in the chat. And if you have not placed your location in the chat, please feel free to do so. I'm Reggie Harris. I'm one of the co-presidents of the Living Legacy Project, and I welcome you to our program this evening, which is called A View from the Bridge. It's a celebration of the 57th anniversary of that event called Bloody Sunday that revolutionized, changed, and made America aware of its civil rights problem in such a new way. It's hard to believe that just 7 years ago I was standing on that bridge with about 70,000 people as we were there at the culmination of a conference that the Living Legacy Project put forward called Marching in the Arc of Justice. And we were there on that bridge and began to march forward in a way that those 600 people who stood on that bridge in 1965 could not do. They came down to meet the state troopers who beat them back across the bridge and into the community. Those are one of the stories that we tell on the pilgrimages that we are privileged to host in our mission to share the lessons of the civil rights movement as we look at what is happening in the world that connects us to the fight for freedom and justice. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. We have a marvelous program for you and a marvelous concert tonight with three of my favorite human beings in the world. Reverend Robert Jones, Chris Matthews, and Alastair Moock. So you're in for quite an evening. Before we get started with our music tonight, I have a little bit of housekeeping. I thank you so much for joining us, and I want to remind you that as co-president of the Living Legacy Project, I would be remiss in my duties if I didn't remind you that our work is very dependent on your generosity, and we thank you so much for the generosity that you have shown to us in supporting not only our programs, but our vision forward. You will find a link to donate in the chat if you have not already. And we encourage you to give from your heart as you are able. Our mission is to work toward a more just and equitable world, free from racism and other systems of oppression. And as we know, that work continues each and every day. So please, we ask for your donations. You will find the link in the chat. And I'm sure that as you listen tonight, you will see that our work not only connects to the past. This is not just about telling people about the history of things that have happened, but it's work that connects very much to what is happening in the world today. And you will see from our performers tonight that their work extends across a variety of platforms and a variety of issues. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for your generosity. We thank you for your continued partnership. Tonight, we have three award-winning singer-songwriters, activists, human beings who use music as the civil rights movement did, fueling the cause of justice. And tonight, I want to stay out of the way as much as possible because the songs that our performers have to share tonight are songs that will bring your heart alive and they will inspire you. We're going to start our evening tonight with the Reverend Robert Jones from Detroit, bringing with us the blues and other tasty, tasty songs of freedom and justice. And Robert, it's so wonderful to have you here. Thank you
It's
for joining
wonderful to
us.
be here, man. It's
Hey,
wonderful to be here.
always
Uh,
good to see you.
Absolutely, it's always great to see you too, Reggie, and of course with my compatriots tonight, Alistair and Chris, who's like my daughter by another mother. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
it's So I guess may as well get started.
Yeah, kick us
Here's a
off with a
song.
song.
Yeah, when you think as a songwriter that you finished a song, um, and this is what happened with me with this song. It's a song that sort of started in a high school classroom when I was reading Moby Dick, and there's that line that Melville writes that he stole from the book of Job. I'm sorry, from the book of Jude. That talks about angels who were confined to the blackness of darkness. And then the song sort of fell into my brain 20 years ago. But then I ended up thinking it was finished, and last year another verse was written. So it's called The Darkness of Blackness. Well, Melville told the tale of a preacher who cried, preaching to the men who come in on the tide. They were tired, hungry, and broken inside, and he taught them the blackness of darkness. And their sons and their daughters walked down the same road, never knowing a life without burden or load. But still from their hearts love overflow as they live through the darkness of blackness. Forget not our fathers who were hung from the trees. Forget not our mothers who prayed on their knees. For the greatest of us is still lesser than these, who live through the darkness of blackness. And our fathers were feared even though they wore chains, feared for their muscles and feared for their brains. But when all else is gone, still the blackness remains. And they taught us the strength of blackness. And with strong, able women, our fathers were blessed. Their beauty showed through, even shabbily dressed. For a queen wearing rags is a queen nonetheless. And they taught us the beauty of blackness. Forget not our fathers who were hung from the trees. Forget not our mothers who prayed on their knees. For the greatest of us is still lesser than these, who live through the darkness of blackness. And our fathers built houses by the strength of their hands, just to see them burned down by the knights of the clan. But they looked up to heaven and they built them again, and they fought back the darkness of blackness. And they battled with sinew and they battled with bone, and they battled together and they battled alone. And they fought back with marching and they fought back with song, and they fought back the darkness of blackness. Forget not our fathers who were hung from the trees. Forget not our mothers who prayed on their knees. For the greatest of us is still lesser than these, who live through the darkness of blackness. And you rise never knowing quite what to expect. You rise always seeking respect. And you rise in spite of the knee on your neck, when you live through the darkness of blackness. And one day when our fathers we meet face to face, though some sons be addicted and some daughters debased, let us not have to say when they ask of the race that we fell to the blackness of darkness. Forget not our fathers who were hung from the trees. Forget not our mothers who prayed on their knees. For the greatest of us is still lesser than these, who live through the darkness of blackness. Who live through the darkness of blackness. Who live through the darkness of blackness.
My. What a song to start.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Robert.
Thank you.
Our,
Thank you.
our
Well,
second performer, tonight comes to us now from Nashville, Tennessee. And I know that Chris, up until a while ago, you were in Washington, our nation's capital.
Yep.
But now down to Music City.
Yeah, I
Well,
figured they could use a little justice down here.
thank you very much. Well, it's great to have you with us tonight.
Thanks for
You are
having me.
clearly one of the people say new voices, but you've been at this for a while. But certainly one of the voices of power in the world of folk music and beyond. So thank you so much for coming and joining us tonight. I will say that you are backed by special popular demand.
Well,
So
thank you.
what do you have for us tonight?
Well, gosh, I tell you, after getting to hear Robert, it's always such a pleasure to share musical space with you, Reverend Jones. And so I thought I knew what I was going to start with, but I think I'm gonna start in a little bit of a different place after that one. So this is a song that I think is fitting for tonight, just because literally in being the bridge, this is a song that is based off of an old freedom song written by Roberta Slavitt. And I added new lyrics to that song because her song felt so incredibly timely. I didn't realize how old her song was because it felt like somebody wrote it for this moment that so many of us are living through now. And so I put a few extra lyrics to it, and the folks who managed her catalog felt like it was okay to be released under this new title. And so this song is called We Must Be Free. I hope from the safety and comfort of your muted box, you will sing the word freedom with me very, very loudly. They say that freedom is a constant struggle. They say that freedom is a constant struggle. They say that freedom is a constant struggle. Oh Lord, we've struggled so long, we must be free. We must be free. Black lives matter. Oh yes they do. And yes of course all lives do too. But they don't see me the way they see you. You reach for your ID, they smile. I reach for mine, they shoot. They say that freedom is a constant crying. They say that freedom is a constant crying. They say that freedom is a constant crying. Oh Lord, we cried so long, we must be free, we must be free. Black lives matter, why can't you see? What makes you less afraid of them than you are of us, than you are of me? Protect and serve us, not kill and hurt us. Oh Lord, how many black lives will it take before that thin blue line turns purple? They say that freedom is a constant sorrow. They say that freedom is a constant sorrow. They say that freedom is a constant sorrow. Oh Lord, we've sorrowed so long, we must be free, we must be free. Black lives matter, both young and old. So many names on my heart, and yet so many stories left untold. When will it end, Lord? When will it end? Tell me, why does it feel like it's 1968 all over again? They say that freedom is a constant moaning. They say that freedom is a constant moaning. They say that freedom is a constant moaning. Oh Lord, we've moaned so long, we must be free, we must be free. Black lives matter, don't you turn away. Oh, rise up, call out injustice, say their names. I'm no safer, no, not at all. It could just as well be my name as the next one on the wall. is a constant dying. They say that freedom is a constant dying. They say that freedom is a constant dying. Oh Lord, Lord, we died so long. We must be free.
Well, they must be free. Well, now, yes, indeed. Oh, thank you so much. Man, I love repurposing the remix.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Reggie.
We'll be back to you in just a few minutes, but right now we're going to bring our third musician in, and this is a friend of mine who I've been actually spending quite a bit of time with over the last couple of years. Alastair Moock, from originally New York City, moved to Boston and has really been putting a stamp on roots music and also family music, and just an all-around great entertainer and activist. Alastair, it's wonderful to have you here tonight.
Thanks
What
for
do you
having
got
me.
for us?
What an honor. What a pleasure. Yeah, well, I've got a song. These guys didn't hold back. They don't. They went right to it. So, this song is called Cloud Splitter. A father farmer far out in the hills, rich in family, poor in dollar bills, struggling with the call of heaven's host, fighting all the demons and the ghosts. Heard a cry from far off in the south. He turned his gaze away from his own house, found the battle he was born to fight, took his sons and left that very night. The current conflict raging in the west, Lawrence, Kansas, next to face the test. The father and the sons come overland. Within a year there's blood on all their hands. Every man's affected when he kills. Death's a mighty bitter tasting pill. But John Brown heard the whisper in his ear, now bring to the South what you've done here. Cloud splitter, open up the sky, make this country open up its eyes. Well, cloud splitter, what's it gonna take? How's a nation fix a great mistake? October 16, 1859, 21 men waiting for his sign to cross the wide Potomac to a shore where slavery's hold was cold as it was sure. Harper's Ferry fell without a fight, and 60 prisoners taken on the night. A fully loaded federal armory, but no slaves came to claim the weaponry. By next day's end, the army shot them down. They captured some, including old John Brown, dragged him to a local court in chains. But 2 months later, all of them was hanged. On the stand, John Brown addressed the court, his right hand on the Bible for support. Remember, those in bonds is bound with them. I'm bound by laws of God, not laws of men. Yeah, cloud splitter, open up the sky, make this country open up its eyes. Well, cloud splitter, what's it gonna take? How's a nation fix a great mistake? Within 2 years, the Civil War had begun. Many reasons, John Brown being one. And though Abe Lincoln never did intend, he finished what Brown started in the end. Washington is on my dollar bill, Jefferson's memorial on the hill. John Brown gave his life for our great sin. The textbooks almost never mention him. Racial fear still fuels this nation's fire. The smoke is thick and always getting high. Up in heaven, John Brown sits and cries. Come back, John, open up our eyes. Red cloud splitter, open up the sky. Make this country open up its eyes. Cloud splitter, what's it gonna take? Make this country. Yeah, cloud splitter, open up the sky. Make this country open up its eyes.
Well, you certainly responded by not holding back. Cloud Spitter. John Brown, one of the great American stories, often portrayed in history as being a crazy man. If working for peace and justice makes you crazy. John Brown, certainly a great hero in the African American community. Thank you, Alastair.
Thank you.
I said tonight that I'm going to stay out of the way. You know, often in folk circles we have song circles and folks sitting together just trading songs. And so I'm going to take very little time here. I'm just going to reintroduce the Reverend Robert Jones. And Robert, take us on.
Wow. Yeah, nobody's holding back tonight, are they? That was amazing, Alastair. And, of course, Chris. Well, I got this this resonator guitar out because, you know, I've been playing blues and blues-related music for a long time. And I love the sound of the resonator, but over the pandemic, one of the things I did is learn some different songs. And I went back and found a song written by a man named Otis Jackson in 1946. And I love this song because it's historical. And I love this song because it has a genuine love of a president, which we don't get as much as they did back in the 1940s. And I love this song because it shows young people that they really didn't invent what they thought they invented. I cried about Roosevelt, wasn't no king. Cried about Roosevelt, poor man's friend. Cried about Roosevelt, he wasn't no king, but he was a great president till the end. Well, 1945, the president laid down and died. Knew just how all the poor people felt. We received the message we lost Roosevelt. In his line, there was all indications. In Warm Spring, Georgia, he would seek salvation. Listen, friends, and don't you rush. Elizabeth Shimanoff, she grabbed the brush. She dipped it in water and began to paint. Looked like the president began to faint. Never paint a picture of him at night, but she knew that the president didn't look right. Time of day, it was 12 o'clock. They tell me that Elizabeth had to stop. Great God Almighty, she waited too late. That's why they call it the unfinished portrait. A little bit later, it was about 1:30. Had some brief remembrance in the world looked muddy. Called Atlanta, Washington too, like zigzag lightning. The call went through. Call long distance notifies his wife. Dr. Coons had died at 3:35. Great God Almighty, how the bells hit tone. In less than 30 minutes, the whole world moaned. I cried about Roosevelt, wasn't no king. Cried about Roosevelt, poor man's friend. Cried about Roosevelt, wasn't no king, but he was a great president till the end. Well, who's in administration and Congress assembled? Great God Almighty, poor folks tremble. Yeah, but Roosevelt's administration, Congress assembled. First one appointed a Negro general, General Benjamin O. Davis. I'm trying to relate. First Negro general in the United States. After Dora Miller had shown his skill, kept sending him to sea until he got killed. Roosevelt set out back to attack, appointed Negro captain over white and black. Disqualified man was Hugh Bozak. Racial prejudice tried to do a lot of invited Negro leaders into the White House. Gave Madam Bethune first lady of the land. Then part of his will was Mr. Pretty Man. Advocating for fair practice of labor to let the poor man know he was our emancipator. Endorsing the inventions of George Washington Carver. That's why I say it was an earthly father. Put my feet out to my replay, and I haven't looked back at the WPA. Cried about Roosevelt, wasn't no king. Cried about Roosevelt, poor man's friend. Cried about Roosevelt, wasn't no king, but he was great president for the end. Well, they were two presidents that the people felt, Abraham Lincoln and Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt could not see oil glorified over Germany, but God Almighty knew what was best. He knew that the president needed rest. Gotta win for his victory and won. Troubles in the world have just begun. If you get worried and you don't know what to do, just call on Jesus, he's the president too. Don't you worry, don't you cry, cause Jesus is the president who will not die. And I cried about Roosevelt, wasn't no king. Cried about Roosevelt, poor man's friend. Cried about Roosevelt, wasn't no king, but he was a great president till the end. I knew they was rapping in 46.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Nothing new under the sun.
No, sir.
Hey, Chris, come on with it.
Oh, man. That was amazing. I'm like, what to even do? Well, I guess I'll sing about it, crying about a different type of reason for a president. Man, that was so fantastic. I was just jamming out back here. Let's see. This one I wrote after, 2016. I don't even need to say any more than that, really. But I'll say for me, as somebody who checks all the boxes that I check, you know, I'm Black, I'm a woman, I'm a lesbian. That election was incredibly scary. That was the first one in my lifetime where I had been legitimately terrified about what was about to come next. And so I called my mom, I called the Rev, and I got a little pep talk from her to try to see what wisdom she had to bestow upon me. And she said, you know, baby, picture me as a little Black girl growing up in southeastern North Carolina in 1953. And every president that I have lived through, and I am still here. You will be fine. And she was right about that. So it's really fun to sing this song now. This is called Battle Hymn for an Army of Lovers. And I know you'll recognize some of the inspiration as the song goes. Change is coming once again, except this time it feels like the world's about to end. White-robed devils in plain sight, angry protests in the streets night after night, and it weighs heavy on my mind. Why are we so quick to run backwards after all this time? But I won't let it change my heart.
and when I die, that's how I'll depart. And when you find yourself incapable of seeing eye to eye, remember when they go low, we go high. Change is coming, that's for sure. We gave a madman all the keys and let him walk right in the door. And I don't think he'll see the light until the whole world is on fire, but that's alright, that's alright. We will still be here when he's gone, and if he doesn't kill us all, well, it sure will make us strong. So don't let 4 years change your heart. We were not born hating each other. Now is not the time to start. And when you find yourself incapable of seeing eye to eye, remember when they go low, we go high. There's a song written for soldiers. It says, let us live to make men free. We're all sisters, we're all brothers, standing on each other's shoulders. There's no wall we cannot scale. We are an army of lovers, and we shall not fail. So when you find yourself incapable of seeing eye to eye, remember when they go low, we go high, 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 high. People get ready, yeah. I said people get ready. People get ready, people get ready, yeah.
All right, all right, all
Thanks,
right.
everybody.
People get ready.
That's it.
Go high. I love the way I love your inspiration.
Thank you, Reggie.
Alastair, coming in on a high.
Beautiful, Chris. I don't like having to follow, but it's a no-win situation.
I'm so
Yes.
glad I'm not having to follow you though, Alastair. Man, that last song, wow.
Thank you, Chris. You guys sound great. And you know, I'm going to sing a song too that I also wrote as in 2016. I don't know, something about that year. But Chris and I recorded yet another song written at the same time, written by the great Melanie Damore, a song called One Foot, Lead with Love. And I sure wish we could sing it. The power of technology isn't here with us yet. But, you know, I think the Chris's song and the song that we recorded of Melanie's, you know, the songs that last from that period are the ones that recognize that what was happening, as scary it was as it was also not new, right? And anchoring it in time minimizes the impact of it, because these are songs that really could be written throughout American history. Trump just heightened the things that were there. So here's one in that vein too. Love it or leave it, it's us against them. We're gonna make it great once again. This once was the home of the free and the brave. We all had it good here, except for the slaves. When we came here, this country was pure and pristine. The skies were all blue and the trees were all green. We fought for the rights of the nation we'd built, and all here rejoiced, except the natives we killed. And then we built cities and roads and great ports, protected by brave men aloft in great forts. And then came the railroads that stretched to the seas. We all had it good, unless you were Chinese. Then Abraham Lincoln, the guy with the beard, said no more to slavery, so that disappeared. And that was the end of race problems. We know black people were equal, except for Jim Crow. Well, the late 1800s were elegant, grand, Victorian houses, and trust in the land, the right to your income and vote you possessed. For all of us here, barring those who had breasts. Then depression and war kinda soured some years, but we all pulled together and got back in gear. Freedom secured in the home of the champs, offer not valid in internment camps. The 50s, that's when things really improved. The GI Bill and your mortgage approved. Employment was high and the future was bright for everyone, all of us, if you were white. And that's what we mean by be great again. Let's get ourselves back to where we were when freedom, prosperity, peace all prevailed for the Caucasian, Christian, straight, middle class male. Love it or leave it, it's us against them. We're gonna make it great once again. This once was the home of the brave and the free, the world's greatest nation. If you looked like me.
Ain't that the truth?
Yes, it is.
Nicely done. Wow.
Thank you, friend.
Tasty writing. 2016 was a very inspirational year in some ways. Robert, I want to ask you just briefly, when you think about the legacy of Bloody Sunday, what comes to mind for you?
It might strike you as, well, people as strange, but actually, I remember watching on the blue, black and white television that we had, and my grandmother was in the room, and I'm looking at these folks sicking dogs on people, and the dogs didn't want to have any part of it, right? So they were like literally trying to pull people into the dog's mouth, and then there were the fire hoses and all of that. And I remember Walter Cronkite saying the Negroes are protesting for their freedom, marching for their freedom. And I remember looking at my grandmother and asking her, "Mama, are we Negroes?" And she said, yeah, baby. And my thought was, we ain't doing too good. But it was like, it was sort of in that moment that I realized that I was black. It's like I had watched television, I'd see Beaver Cleaver, I'd see whoever, and really didn't think about, there being any difference between anybody on television and me. But it was those images of the Pettus Bridge and Bull Connor and all of that kind of, carrying on that caused me to realize, hey man, I'm black. And I'm one of those Negroes, right? So that's been with me for forever. It was the day that I discovered my blackness.
Mm-hmm.
So
Joanne Bland, one of our great contributors in Selma, said that she was motivated by the fact that her grandmother took her by an ice cream parlor and she wanted an ice cream, and her grandmother said, "Baby, you can't go in there. But the day we get our freedom, well, on that day you'll be able to go in that shop and get some ice cream." And she said, "I climbed on board."
yes, we are motivated by many different things.
We are indeed.
So,
Take us on,
yeah.
Robert.
All right. Well, Alastair's song and Chris's songs and my songs remind me that in the Bible there is this thing called humathomaton, which is a Greek word which means being on one accord. And you'll find out why I'm saying that. It's probably as soon as I start singing this song that was written after the election, after 2016. But it was written in response to the following election, where folks were trying to, encourage folks to get to the polls. I don't know why anybody needed motivation to go to the polls, but I guess they did. And this guy named John Scheffler asked a bunch of Michigan singer-songwriters to write songs. And I was going to sort of reprise that song that I started with, The Darkness of Blackness. But then they started talking about, you guessed it, making America great again. And this song fell out. There was that moment in 16 and 19 when 20-some Africans stepped onto the shore. And that was the start of America's dreaming, for they knew they'd see Angola no more. And there was that moment Jesus taught us of mercy, saying, what you do unto others, you do unto me. Then he died on the cross to make all men holy, and our fathers, they died to make all men free. And these are the moments that call us to action. These are the moments we learn how to stand. These are the moments we rise to the vision. Let us endeavor for greatness again. And there were those moments when we welcomed the masses, the tired, the hungry who yearn to breathe free. And they followed the dream like so many before them. And they followed the dreaming just like you and me. There was that moment we cheered for Apollo, and the moment we wept when the Challenger fell. United like men in the days of Pearl Harbor, they left friends and family and marched into hell. These are the moments that call us to action. These are the moments we learn how to stand. These are the moments we rise to the vision. Let us endeavor for greatness again. And there were dark moments when young boys like Emmett had lives cut short by the hate of the Klan. Shall we really sit by over 60 years later and do nothing while it all happens again? And there are those moments when our children are slaughtered, and we ask our leaders, can these weapons be banned? And they shrug back at us in self-righteous indifference, saying we value our guns, let the children be damned. But these are the moments that call us to action. These are the moments we learn how to stand. These are the moments we rise to the vision. Let us endeavor for greatness again. So let us come out of the time of the COVID. Though we wear masks, let our spirits be seen. Let us endeavor to find our greatness. Let us fulfill America's dream. Let us fulfill America's dream.
Yes. Let us fulfill America's dream. I have a dream. Still
That's it.
working the frame. Still working the frame.
Still working the dream.
Sure enough. Chris, I'm going to ask you how you came to hear about, I know I'm going to put you in the category of those who are, how shall we say, not as
No.
not as seasoned as some of us.
So cold.
How do you find out about the Edmund Pettus Bridge, about Bloody Sunday, and what was the impact for you?
I think, growing up in southeastern North Carolina, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. Like, our family is very big and we're all very, very close. And so, CBS Sunday mornings was like, all of that kind of stuff was kind of what I grew up with, spending so much time with them. And I think I probably saw that for the first time, and actually was of cognitive age, probably to really grasp what it was, maybe when I was 13 or 14 or so, and just was so taken aback by the violence of it, and to kind of realize that people were seeing that level of violence and not being just outraged by it. Other people who were, I guess, as we would say now, we would consider them allies. But in that moment, to think of people seeing that and not just being in the streets, livid that this was happening to their fellow citizens, it took a lot to kind of realize what that meant, that the people weren't in the streets in absolute outrage. And on a side note, it was also kind of when I realized why my mom was so terrified of dogs my entire life. Because as a child and a young woman, those were the images that she grew up watching on television. And so, like, the trauma of that kind of never left her. So those ripples, they go really wide.
Well, we see so much of it actually played out in our own time, and certainly your music is inspiring and fueling folks who are taking to the streets now. So, you want to take us into another song?
Yeah, I think so. I think I would be remiss if I didn't sing this song in this commemoration of Bloody Sunday. This is a song that I wrote for the late, great Congressman John Lewis, who was just such an inspiration, the way he kind of walked through this world after having endured everything that he endured, not just there on Bloody Sunday, but in his entire life, and still had such a deep, as my mom would say, an abiding love for this country and for what it could be. And that is just something that is incredibly inspirational to me. And so I wrote this song for him when he passed away, because he did this so well. So this song is called Call Them In. And, the thing about him, it wasn't just the calling out of the injustice, it was the calling in. The calling it out and then calling in, trying to broaden the tent, trying to reach across and get people to actually engage in those conversations that can be so tough, that can be so uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, that's the job, that's the work. If the tent was big enough as it was, we would have had this stuff done already, but we don't. So we need more of us. So this is for him. This is called Call Them In. The battle lines are drawn, and once again, somebody's saying, wait, be patient. If they knew how long it would be
before all people could truly hear freedom ring. I wonder which end of that moral arc would they choose. I wonder if more would have walked in his shoes. This is what revolution looks like. You gotta get in and stay in this fight. You've got to find a way to get in the way. Speak up, speak out every day. Freedom riders or letter writers, do what you can, just shine your light brighter. Somebody called him a saint among men, a founding father, an icon, a legend. Ordinary people with such extraordinary vision in a country so young, hard pressed on every single side but not crushed, saying in God, love and justice we trust. This is what revolution looks like. You gotta get in and stay in this fight. You've got to find a way to get in the way. Speak up, speak out every day. Freedom riders or letter writers, do what you can, just shine your light brighter. Make a trouble every chance you get. Eyes on the prize, we're not finished yet. Don't tolerate injustice, my friends. Call them out, but then call them in. If you see something that's not right, not fair, stand up and say we can do better. He said I may not be with you when we reach the other side, so let the power of love everlasting be your guide. 'Cause this is what revolution looks like. You gotta get in, then stay in this fight. This is what revolution looks like. Get in, then stay in this fight. You've got to find a way to get in the way. Speak up, speak out every day. Freedom riders or letter writers, do what you can, just shine your light brighter. Make a trouble every chance you get. Eyes on the prize, we're not finished yet. Don't tolerate injustice, my friends. Call them out, but then call them in, call them in. Find a way to get in the way. Speak up, speak out every day. Make a trouble every chance you get. Make a trouble every chance you get. Make a trouble every chance you get.
Yeah.
Well, all
We're
right.
trying.
Yeah, you're doing it.
We are sure trying to.
There's no doubt you're doing exactly that. And that is exactly what John Lewis did. Thank you. We're going to pull Alastair in here for our last song of the night. And Alastair, what do you have for us?
Hey, Reg.
Hey.
Yeah, such beautiful songs, such great writing. John Lewis, I wrote a song which was also the name of an album called Be a Pain that was aimed towards kids and families. I thought I might do that one tonight, but I'd like to do a quieter one. I think, a lot of in your questions and in the thought process here, obviously, in this evening, one one, what was the Sesame Street? One thing does not look like the others. I have a different, relationship to the work of anti-racism because I'm white, and it hasn't been my whole life. I've been a liberal my whole life. The process of digging deeper and examining what is my place in the story, what is the role of white folks, what does it mean to be an ally? Is that the right word? I don't think it is. And Reggie and I have been doing a lot of work with young people where we model having conversations. It's something you don't see that often on our television. Black and white folks talking about race in really direct ways. I've learned a lot from Reggie. I've learned a lot in the last couple of years in the racial justice work that I finally have dug a lot deeper in than I had. I had talked a lot. I've taught civil rights for many years to kids, but the actual getting your hands dirty and doing the work, some folks here on the call are part of the racial justice group in our little town of Melrose, Mass. And there's a group of family musicians called Family Music Forward, which has really helped sort of turn the children's music field upside down, challenged folks in a place where everybody's nice. And in some ways, that's the perfect example of what it means to really be involved in advocacy, because the starting place in children's music is niceness. It's liberalism. It's the concept of inclusion. And yet it, even there in that space, is inundated with bias and blind spots. The same results keep happening. The same people keep getting the Grammy Awards. They look alike. The people who sit on those panels won the awards in the past, so they look alike. The process of really challenging things is hard, and it requires folks like me to look at what we have. We're a lot better at looking at what's wrong. We understand what's wrong. We have a hard time really understanding what privilege is, I think. So it's an ongoing process for me, things that I thought I understood about John Lewis and Bloody Sunday and all the rest, I continue to see differently all the time. And I'm lucky to have folks like Reggie that I can share that conversation with. So here's a song. One of the nice things about performing for kids is they haven't made up their minds on everything. And the basic concept of fairness resonates really strongly. So this is a song about leadership. But the idea behind this song too was that we tend to put our leaders up on pedestals, and sometimes they seem awfully high up when they're up there. When we look back in history, when we talk about people like Dr. King, it seems like a long way from there to where you are as a little kid. So I thought maybe just calling out the point that all those heroes started as kids too might make us realize that the things that got them where they were choices. It wasn't fate. It was hard work. Two little eyes staring from a crib, a tiny little mouth drooling on a bill, a tiny little fist with a tiny little grip. Before they grew up, everybody was a kid. Malcolm X was a kid, and Dr. King was a kid. Mahatma Gandhi was a kid. The Dalai Lama was a kid. Before they got tall, before they grew big, they used to be small. Everybody was a kid. You are a kid. You got dirt on your hands. You wipe them on your shirt. Yeah, you wipe them on your pants. But one of these days, you're gonna get real big. How do I know? 'Cause everybody was a kid. So where you gonna go? What you gonna do? Who you gonna be? Well, waiting on you. We're holding our breath and our lips are all bit, because we all know everybody was a kid. Oprah Winfrey was a kid, and Angelina Jolie, even Bill Gates and Muhammad Ali, before they got known, before we knew what they did, before they got grown, everybody was a kid. Two little eyes staring from a crib, a tiny little mouth drooling on a bib, a tiny little fist with a tiny little grip. Before they grew up, everybody was a kid. So what you gonna do? Yeah, what you gonna do? Who you gonna be? We're just waiting on you. We're biting our nails and we keep it well hid, because we all know everybody was a kid. Reverend Robert P. Jones was a kid. And Chris Matthews was a kid. Reggie Harris was a little kid once. And I was a kid too.
For sure.
Fantastic.
I love the diversity of song this evening. And I love the diversity of face, of spirit. Thank you, Alastair, for naming that difference tonight. And thank you, all of you, for joining in. We want to extend to you the opportunity to join us. You'll find a link in the chat that will take you to a chat room. And you'll have about 30 minutes. We can sit and kind of unpack tonight. You can ask some questions of Chris, Robert, and Alastair. Share what has come up for you tonight, or just listen to hear a little bit of extended talk between the performers. We are so grateful for the work that they are doing, not only in music, but also out in the world in a variety of different ways. And when you go into the chat, you will also see a link to get you there. And also, if you value the program tonight, we're going to ask you to contribute and donate to the work that we are doing at Living Legacy Project. It's work that is continuing the legacy of the civil rights movement and the lessons that are teaching us how we can be a difference in the world today and in the future. I'd like to thank all our performers tonight, and also invite all of you to join us on April the 13th for a program that we're really looking forward to presenting. Why You Should Know About Warless and Ex-Selena Jackson. It's an hour of conversation with Professor Paula C. Johnson. And it's an amazing story about Warless and ex-Selena Jackson, civil rights martyrs in the truest sense. So that'll be on April the 13th at 7:30 Eastern Time. Please join us and tell your friends about it as well. And thank you again for your generosity of spirit and of funding. There is much work to do, and we're about doing it. So help us to continue this vision and to move forward in a nation that needs what we have to give. Thanks again, and hope to see you in the chat. We'll spend a little time unpacking tonight. Thanks so much, and be very well.